Good morning and Shabbat Shalom. Everyone's heard of the bystander effect. It's the famous story that happened in 1964 in Queens, that a woman by the name of Kitty Genovese was murdered, and the crime lasted for 30 minutes as she cried out for help, but although multiple people heard and saw, nobody intervened. Why? Because everyone thought someone else will do it. It's called diffusion of responsibility. When many people are present, everyone thinks someone else will stand up. Well, in this week's Torah portion, which is called Pinchas, we read the story of Pinchas. It's a tragic tale. It's the story of a leader of the Jewish nation by the name of Zimri engaging in an immoral act with a woman by the name of Cosby. And everyone's standing around and no one's doing anything. And Pinchas, in an act of vengeance and zealousness, takes a spear and he drives it through the two of them. And God says, Pinchas, the son of Elazar, the grandson of Aaron, the high priest, remove my anger, my wrath from the Jewish people who are engaging with the Midianite women, and therefore I will bestow upon him, confer upon him, my covenant of peace. And what is that? That he and his descendants will all be Kohanim. And there's a twofold question here. The first question is, why does the verse emphasize Bekano et kinati betocham, that he avenged my anger amongst the Jewish people? And second of all, why from all things does he get the reward of being a Kohen? And the answer perhaps is exactly the idea of the bystander effect. You see, sometimes you're the leader, you have a responsibility, and you act because it's part of your job description. It's part of your official responsibilities. But when you're standing around bit tocham, everyone's there. Why doesn't someone else do something? Why me? Somebody else will take care of it. That is even a greater measure of greatness. And therefore the Torah emphasizes that everyone was present, but no one did anything. Only Pinchas stood up. And therefore, what does he get? The reward of being the priest, the Kohen, for him and his descendants. Because it's the only form of leadership which is transferred from parent to child. Unlike other forms of leadership, which you have to earn it. Even Moses' children didn't succeed him. A Kohen is an automatic privilege. If your parents were Kohanim, your children, grandchildren, for all future generations. And this is the message, perhaps, that sometimes we think somebody else will do something. But you have to be the one that has to lead the way. And if you do that, you will transmit that blessing for your children, your grandchildren, and all future generations. You be the person to make a difference. You be the person to stand up for your family and do what is right. And then you will bequeath as an inheritance that legacy, that lesson, that value to your future descendants, just like Pinchas did to all of his future descendants. Last Shabbat I had the great joy of going to upstate New York to spend Shabbat with my parents, with all my siblings together. We sat around the table just like we did when we were children, and we told family stories. And I always love learning new stories. And I learned something I never knew about my grandfather, whose name was Rabbi Scheiner, my father's father. I always knew he was a learned, pious, righteous man, kind, humble, sweet. And my father told me that my grandfather, when he was born as a lefty. But before his bar mitzvah, he trained himself to become a righty. And he became such a good righty to the extent that he later in life became a sofer, a scribe of Torah's tefillin, mezuzot. And he had the most beautiful script, the most beautiful handwriting of calligraphy, Hebrew calligraphy. And he did this with the hand that he trained to become his stronger hand, which was his right hand. Why did he change his natural instinct to write with the left hand to the right hand? Because Jewish law says when you become bar mitzvah, you put your tefillin on your left hand, because generally that's your weaker hand and it's near the heart. But if you are a lefty, then your weaker hand is your right hand, so you put it on your right hand. Well, my grandfather, even before he was a bar mitzvah, wanted to put his tefillin on his left hand next to his heart. And so he worked very hard to change his skills, to be able to write once again with his right hand, which became his permanent writing hand, so that he could put his tefillin on his left hand. And I was so inspired by that story. Even though my grandfather passed away 35 years ago. Here he is teaching me a lesson. Twofold. First of all, you could change your natural instincts. You could choose who you want to be. Even your physical capacities and strengths can be channeled and reframed. But most importantly, what he taught me in this story is that always strive to do the mitzvah in the best possible way. Even though you could say, well, this is not my nature. But no, you should always try to do the mitzvah and strive for excellence in every area. And this is the message of Pinchas. He leaves a legacy for all future generations. Don't be a bystander. When something needs to be done, someone needs to take a stand. Don't expect others to do it. And then your children and grandchildren, all descendants will benefit from this. You know, when I was growing up, there's a very popular song. There was a musician by the name of Moshe, yes, and he wrote a song called Zaidi. It's the most moving song. And it's about a kid who grew up with a grandfather, a Zaidi, from Eastern Europe. And the kid describes in the song how his Zaidi would put him on his lap and teach him Torah and tell him stories about Poland. And the chorus of the song is, and Zaidi made us laugh, and Zaidi made us sing, and Zaidi made a Kiddush Friday night. Zaidi, oh my Zaidi, how he loved me so. Zaidi taught us wrong from right. And Zaidi made a Passover Seder, and Zaidi took me to synagogue. And then the end of the song is that the boy goes off to summer camp, and he comes back to find out that his Zaidi passed away. And the last line of the song, the most moving line, is, who will be the Zaidi for my children? Who will be the Zaidi if not me? And the beautiful message of the song is, we had Zaidies, we had Bubbies, they inspired the family, they were the religious glue of the family. But now that they're gone, who will be the Zaidies and the Bubbies for our children and our grandchildren? Don't be a bystander in any area of life. Stand up, you be the one. And like Pinchas, you will leave an everlasting legacy that will continue to inspire your future generations, because you have a wonderful Shabbat.